and I hear the first officer call out, and then the first officer jumps on the radio and he screams, "Holy shit, it's the Goatman!" And I mean, it just like everything went quiet, and I could hear the ringing in my ears, and I could feel my heart race, and so I hit my light and I went flying up there.
I've been told by some older people, elders, that you grab them and you hold them and you don't own them, but you hold them there until daylight. If you can hold them or pull them into the light, it destroys anything they have, any kind of power or anything they were trying to do to you. It'll destroy them.
This guy was like bouncing, like, you know, like how you see people kind of getting ready to jig, you know how they kind of bounce? Yeah, he was like that way. He was just kind of bouncing, and he was just kind of going back and forth on one foot to the other. And he just kind of turned sideways, and he turned back over to the other way, and he took off. Holy shit, he jumped in Wanda.
Welcome back. You're listening to Lodge Tales, and I'm your host, Rod Williamson. This episode, we have a young man from the Blackfeet Indian Reservation by the name of Ethan Runningcrane. He's a really good storyteller. He has a lot of knowledge about a lot of things in our culture. He's a role model for a lot of young people. And I was honored to have him on the podcast. In this podcast, we start off with a few ghost stories. We talk about the Goatman. Just a few spook stories, I guess I would say. And then toward the end, I asked him about if he could speak on the eclipse. And we talk a little bit about that, since today was the eclipse, and I'm releasing this podcast same day as the eclipse. So here's a little bit about what our people know and what we think about the eclipse. I was never taught anything about it growing up, so I know Ethan had some teachings about it, and he's going to inquire about a little bit more, so hopefully down the road I'll be able to share the rest of that knowledge with you guys. And we talk a little bit about our creation stories. If we were to tell the whole creation story, it's long. It's a long story. There's a lot that's happened in it that explains the Blackfeet world. There's a lot there. But it's important that we know those stories as Blackfeet. And, you know, maybe one of these days we'll share just nothing but stories like that on here. So I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. I know you'll get a lot out of it. I certainly did. And thanks for all the support. Thank you for all the subscribers on Patreon. Thank you for the donations at Red Circle and keeping this thing going. It's been a little slow getting the podcasts out. I realize that, and I'm doing my best to try and keep up with everything. And this podcast ain't going anywhere. It's still going to be here. And so I'm looking forward to many, many more stories with many more people and doing more collaborations. So I have a TikTok page now. The podcast is on TikTok. I mean, there are snippets, like previews of the podcast that I have on TikTok, so you can follow me there, and it's just Lodge Tales Podcast. That's what my TikTok is. And if you follow me, you'll catch me going live every now and again, and we just randomly spit out stories. Like I'll go on, about 3-4 different lives now where we just tell ghost stories, and it's pretty fun. There's a lot of Dene people that come on, that I go on to their podcast and I tell stories with them. There's a lot of Dene followers that are following the TikTok page. So yeah, check that out. It's fun to do, and I spend a lot of my off time there in the evenings. So if you want more engagement with me, you can directly get it there, as well as contacting us through the website of lodgetales.com. Of course, the comment sections in any of the videos that you guys are watching or the podcast that you're listening to, they're on there as well. You can interact with me there, or through email. It's pretty easy to get a hold of me. And I would encourage everybody to get more people to come and contact me. The more people we share this with, the bigger it becomes. More widespread it becomes, the more people I can get on the podcast, and we can have many more stories for some time to come. And I appreciate all the help, all the support. Without you guys, we really don't have a show. And it's nice to be able to share all these stories and to get everybody in one place at one time to hear all of these. Because once I release them, I see the analytics and I see there's a lot of people listening to them. So I know we're all at that same place listening at once. And I appreciate you all for tuning in and listening. My appreciation spans all the way across these two. I see all you guys over there that tune into the podcast religiously. I see that. And all across the world. I see you guys. And from United States, the Blackfeet Nation, my thanks go out to all of you. Well, let's get on to the show.
Okay, nisto ako misamis di man okkuku amskapi kani. Existan sta kaya kuni maki ninansta chutana ki sikumaktan. Hello everybody, my name is Ethan Runningcrane. I reside on the Blackfeet Indian Reservation in Browning, Montana. I am 23 years old and grew up with a lot of old people and heard a lot of old stories, not just old stories, but even recent ones with my parents and my grandparents and my sisters and brothers. And I just grew up here on the res and heard a lot of, it's kind of one of our things in our ways to tell those stories about those bad spirits. And I just I've heard quite a few of them. It's not nothing new that we have these spirits come around, and we are used to those stories being told by those old ones, kind of telling us to be careful for them. But do you just want me to go right into the story?
Yeah, let's hear.
Well, I'll just tell that one I told. So Red Blanket Hill, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So my sisters, they're all out and about, probably in about 2015. They were all out and about partying, drinking, and having a really good time. And they were at the Charlie's Bar in Bab, Montana. They were drinking there, and my sister said that they had seen a fight, and there was just like really bad energy there. And in Bab, it's a small little community, so like you don't really know who you're gonna see or who you're gonna end up going around with. But they said there's like these really weird white people there, white people.
Mm-hmm.
And they were kind of just like acting strange. And that one woman, she was like acting like she was like a witch or something. Like she said she was a witch, like not in a sense like you would think, just like one of those people that can tell the future or say weird things. And what she told them before they were leaving at the bar, and she was just like, you guys are gonna see something from my maker or something like that. And they were kind of tripped out about it, so they didn't really think nothing. Anyways, they all hopped in the car and they cruised right around St. Mary's and went right along all the way through, and they got to Red Blanket Hill. Anyways, there's a dirt road back in there, and they just wanted to go park and they wanted to go look around at some like just around in the trees and stuff, and they were in their vehicle, and there's a little dirt road back in there. Anyways, they were all having that good time drinking. They didn't really think of nothing, and they were on this back dirt road, and that road has trees on both sides, some cottonwoods and also some quaking ash, and there's some pines in there on Red Blanket. And anyways, it's just right below there. And so they were in this dirt road, and they're just driving along, and they were jamming out, and it was a pretty moonlit night out was a pretty nice night out. It was warm. It was a summer night. Anyways, they get down to this. They kind of get down to the creek bottom, but they're right on this dirt road. And anyways, they see this guy walking. He's all by himself, and my sister in the back of her head says that, you know, she's kind of scared after what that woman told her. You're gonna see my maker. So they start walking. They see this guy, and he has a Carhartt coat on. It looks like, and it's tan. It's really tan, and he has long hair. He has a cowboy hat on, and he has boots, and he's wearing like Wranglers, and he's just walking, and they're kind of honking at him. They're like wondering what the hell he's doing way out there by himself in the dark, and they were kind of spooky about it. Like they didn't want to cruise away in case he like turned around and went towards their vehicle, because they didn't know what he was gonna do, and so they were just right behind him. They had those lights flashing on him. They said he had a weird way he was walking though, like he was almost uncomfortable, and he was kind of like walking right down that road, and they're still behind him, and they kind of were turning their lights off. They're like, what the hell is this guy doing? You know, what the shit. So anyways, they keep following him, and then that road turns off to the right. He kind of speeds up a little bit, and my sisters are right behind him still, my brother, and he turns off from the road again, and they were wondering what the hell it was, you know. They're like, what the hell is he doing? You know, why is he not just coming back and visiting us or something? We could give him a ride, because they're like, if he looks like a cowboy or like an Indian, you know. And so anyways, they get going up again, and they see him again, and he just walking the same way, but this time they said for some reason his boots changed. They said they were kind of almost like a red boot. They said they changed. They were black now, and they all seen it. They're like, hey, did his boots change or something? And yeah, they kind of did. Anyway, so they start going down that dirt road again, and there's those trees on the side, and it's kind of swampy a little bit. Anyways, he turns off again. This time he goes left, and so they're following him, and like they're all still drinking and having fun, and they're just like, well, let's just keep following him, see where he's going, so we make sure he's okay, because what if he's on something, or something's wrong with him, and we got to make sure that he's gonna be okay, or call the cops on him if we leave. And so he takes a sharp left again. They were wondering why he keeps doing that. So he takes that left again, and it kind of goes into this little like picnic area, and they went to go look. Right when they turned left and shined their lights, right where he was at, there's a buckskin horse with its tail like kind of wagging, and it started like trotting away from them again, and they just got so scared and dusted out of there, and they didn't know what the hell to think about it. And they ended up leaving. They're all crying because that guy just disappeared, but they think he turned into that horse. And but my sister just goes back to what she said, and she said, yeah, she's like, I don't know what the hell it meant, but that guy, he told me, or that woman told me at the bar, she said she was a witch, and she said, you guys are gonna meet my maker tonight. Oh.
I wonder what that woman looked like at the bar. Was she, what did you say? She was a non-native woman?
She was a non-native woman. She kind of looked like a, you know those people we get on our res, they call lodgies. She was kind of like, she had dreads. Dreads. She had black eyeliner, and she was dressed in all black, like kind of rocker clothes and stuff like that. But they said she was an older lady, and she just came up to him out of nowhere and said, hey, you guys are gonna meet my maker tonight.
Yeah, that's weird. I wonder if she was a spirit herself. Have they seen her around there? Or, you know?
No, they never did see her around there. And what's weird is, like, they said there was really weird energy around that night, because there's quite a few fights in that bar, and there was no white tea people fighting. It was all our own people, and like everyone was really getting plumb hammered. And for some reason, this woman didn't even seem like she was drunk whatsoever. And they were all leaving, and she was just like acting weird, like by herself. And that's what she told them, and they're kind of weirded out about it. But yeah, that's they for sure know that guy was either a shapeshifter or whatever the hell he was. Like, he turned into that horse, and you could see his tail wagging like really hard after he turned, and they seen that horse right there, and it was a buckskin horse, same color of his jacket.
Oh. Yeah, Red Blanket's got a lot going on over there, man. You know.
It does, yeah.
That old guy used to really raise hell with people up there, but he kind of calmed down, recently, from what I understand. But yeah, he, jump in front of people's cars, try to make them wreck right there, as you're coming around that hill. Things like that. But see, him and his wife they were really powerful medicine people a long time ago. She had the ability to make you this belt, and that belt would stop you from becoming pregnant. And at this time, those Catholic priests and stuff, they didn't like, what she was doing, and they didn't trust probably all of them at the time. But so they kind of kept it secret. But people could go to them, and they would give you, she would give them that, but you'd have to, basically pay for it, like give them offerings and stuff, and they would help people with that. But he was buried in above ground, like how they just laid him on the ground. His bones were up there for quite a while, but there's a place up there that you can actually fast, and I guess he still comes around when you're fasting. He'll come out, that old guy.
Yeah.
But I guess this is just what I've heard, is that he'll test you. Like sometimes he'll blow wind at you so hard that it's scary. It'll blow you down. And other times he'll, I don't know, like shoot fireballs at you. Like they'll make fire come at you and try and scare you while you're fasting. And I guess if you stick it out, he'll help you out. Those are the kind of the stories I heard about that place.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that would be scary. I mean, good spirit, but just I don't know why it was like that a lot out there with that one spirit that I know of, that old man.
Yeah, and like, there's all kinds of stories too. People walking out there too, like back in the day, and like that Red Blanket Hill, like they see an old guy, or they'll see different spirits that will try to, like you're saying, test them or mess with them.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was told too in our ceremonies when we go fast as Blackfeet, there's gonna be, you gotta watch out for some spirits will try to make you do certain things. Like there's been times where people like have told that these spirits will kind of mess with your fast, and they'll almost try to entice you to do things that aren't what you're supposed to do, like unalive yourself. They'll try to like make you do things that isn't whatsoever on your path, and you gotta watch out for them, is what I was told. There's been elders that said that there has been tricksters that try to do that. And they're really strong, and they are strong spirits, but what you just got to be careful for is that they don't entice you to do something that's not part of your journey on your fast. But they said it only happens rarely, occasionally, because of the prayers. But when you're fasting, you're open to all energies, and you're open to everything to give you your power. But the good power comes. But yeah, I guess I was told that sometimes that'll come, and you don't know what will happen.
Yeah, another thing I heard about fasting is, well, I guess you never fast by a big rock.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is just what I heard, is that you don't fast by those big rocks, because sometimes that rock, for some reason, will ask you to bring him a woman. I don't know what that is, or, I heard that from a guy up in Canada.
Yeah, I know. I heard that too from Leonard Bastine, and also too a guy named Chris McHugh. I was watching a video on him, and he was talking about the fasting, and they said that same thing too. You don't fast where there's big rocks, because the same thing, they're something about them. They'll do that, yeah, and they'll want something from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of another story though to give. I could tell that war bonnet one if you want me to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so someone was told by my Uncle Richard and Auntie Neola, they told me about this, well, it's not only just here, but, people talk about this guy that, we were talking about it earlier on TikTok live, and, we both know these stories that come about it. They say it's the Goatman, but they say he's a spirit, and he can turn himself into a man. So there's big party going on at War Bonnet, old War Bonnet here in Browning, right on right when you get into town, and right on the right hand side there's that War Bonnet. It was a hotel kind of bar kind of type of place, and it was kind of a popular spot for people to go party. So anyways, this guy shows up to this big party that they're having there at the bar, and there's this man shows up, and he's dressed in all black. He has a black trench coat, black cowboy hat. He has braids. He makes himself look like an Indian, and he's really well off, and like comes with attitude of he wants to get everyone drunk, and everyone kind of like didn't know who he was, and he said he was from Browning, and he just showed up out of nowhere, and he has a really weird grin to him, like kind of one of those faces that you look at and you always remember it. One of those faces that you kind of like, it's a peculiar face, but not in a good way. It kind of like almost, it makes you uncomfortable, but then when you're drinking, you don't really care about that kind of stuff. So if they're giving you alcohol, you don't care. But anyways, this guy shows up, and he starts giving everyone shots, not even from the bar. He starts giving everyone shots, and everyone's wondering why he has so much money, because he just looks like a native guy that just walked in, probably from like he walked in from 600 or something, like he didn't look like he was pretty well off. So anyways, he starts giving everyone drinks, and there's people there that are really getting drunk, and he's just saying, come on, let's go, let's have some more, let's go. And he's not even getting drunk himself, and they go outside too, because he entices people to go outside, and he wants them to go take shots with him, and he has a pickup with him. They thought he didn't drive, but he did. He had a pickup with him, and he took some guys out there, and he said, you guys, let's go, let's have a drink, come on. Like, I'll show you guys, this is a really good bottle. And anyways, he grabs a bottle, he takes it out, and he says, come on, let's go, let's take some shots, go. So those guys start drinking with him, and they're all taking shots. They're just all roundhousing that bottle. And anyways, he's just laughing the whole time. He just keeps laughing, and they're wondering why he's laughing. You're like kind of looking at him odd, why is this guy laughing? Why is he kind of acting weird? He said, hey, how come you keep laughing? He's like, oh, I'm just having such a good time with you guys. You guys are awesome. And it's like when you guys get drunk. He said, oh, really? Yeah, I like it when you guys are drunk. It's my favorite time. And they're kind of thought that was weird. And they're looking at his bottle, and his bottle's at the tippy top. They all took shots. They looked at his bottle, and they said, hey, didn't you just give us a shot of that bottle? How come it's empty? How'd you do that? And he said, oh, it's just one of my tricks. He said, we're going to keep drinking tonight. You guys don't give up. He's like, let's go. Come on, we're going to keep going. They said, well, we're going to go inside. So they'll go inside, and he follows them. They're all sitting at the bar, and he's just kind of sitting by himself again, and he's sitting there smiling, like giggling around to himself, kind of just like weird, eerie giggle, he's kind of like, he's kind of sitting by himself, and they're all just kind of weirded out by him by this point. Like, they all kind of don't know what to do. And anyways, he walks upstairs in War Bonnet. He goes down the hallway, and he said he had a room, but no one remembers him getting one. So they're walking up there, and he was walking up down that hallway. It's kind of dark in there, and this lady was up there. She was drinking too, and she was following him, not on purpose, but she was going to a different room. And she said he just kind of like walked in this bedroom, and he kind of like lifted up his coat. She said when he lifted up his coat, she noticed something, and she said she seen like this, like, it almost looked like, at the tip, it looked like almost like a buffalo tail or like a goat tail. And she thought he might have had a prop or had something, like maybe he just cut something off and had something underneath there. And she said it start wagging like it was like part of him. And she just got really scared and ran down, and she started telling everyone in the bar, hey, that guy in the trench coat and the cowboy hat, he walked in that room. Before he went in, he lifted up his coat to grab something out of his back pocket. He was grabbing his wallet or something. And, I seen that tail. I seen a tail, I think, and they're all kind of, oh, crap, you just drunk. Let's go, let's keep drinking. So he comes back out of War Bonnet there up on top, and comes back to the bar, and he still has a grin to his face, and they're like, hey, this one says you has a tail, and they're all just laughing. And he's just laughing with them, just kind of grinning really hard. And he's like, "Come on, let's go. Let's keep drinking. Come on." And then this one guy, he kind of noticed something odd too. He was kind of messing with his boots, that guy, and he was reaching down and kind of like scratching. And he seen the same thing. He lifted up his pants and he started scratching. And he said his feet had fur. He had fur, like hair, on his ankles, and it was really thick, and it looked like his ankles were pretty thick, and kind of seemed like, you know, like on a goat, like their back, right behind their heel, there's that other little piece of hoof right there.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's seen something to that extent, and he got scared, and he started telling them, and he was telling those guys, don't take any drinks from him, and he's like, I seen something, man, this guy has something up to him. So anyways, he was still giving everyone shots, everyone was still drinking, everyone was still having a good time, and then everyone really started noticing his bottle again, and they're saying, hey, how is your bottle not doing that? Like, how are you doing that? You're giving us all free shots and buying us beer, and then your bottle, it's the only one that doesn't go empty. What the hell's up with that? He just laughs. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. I told you guys should be happy. I like doing this with you guys. So then I want you guys to come with me after, and they're like, oh, wait, no way. So anyways, that lady, she seen him sitting there, and like he was trying to hide something, and he was sitting on that bar again, and something poked out, like he like almost like didn't mean to do it, and he like slapped his back like this, and a couple people saw it, and then he noticed people were kind of getting eerie of him because no one wanted to drink with him no more. So he walked outside. There's some people having a cigarette right out there, and he said, well, he's like, he walked out there, and those guys that are having a cigarette, he's kind of walked by them. They're all kind of like looking at him weird. They all stopped smoking for a second. They're just looking at him kind of like their eyes kind of scrunched down and like kind of like wondering what he was doing. And he was like, I'm always coming through here, and I just love messing with you guys. He's like, you guys just really love my alcohol. And he said, you guys don't know me, but you guys will, or something like that. And they're kind of like, what the hell? And then he's like, come on, let's have another shot. They didn't want to take a shot with him anymore. They all walked inside, and some of them were kind of like, well, shit, we should go ask his name. And they're like, let's go ask his name. And they went and asked him, what's your name? What's your name, man? And, oh, I don't have a name. It's just no, it's just me. That's who I am. I'm just me. They said, oh, you're weird. Why? You don't have a name? No, I don't have no name. I never had a name. They said, but you'll know who I am eventually. And so they kind of thought that was weird. But anyways, they all walked inside, and he didn't come in. They heard a pickup start up, and it headed out. It was snowing out, though. It was like snowing. There's probably about 2-3 inches of snow out when he walked in. Or when they all walked out. Some of them walked out, and they were wondering, they're like, oh, let's go look and see what. He left finally. They went in and looked outside, and he was taking his boots out before he left, though, and he jumped in, I guess, and someone seen him doing that, but they didn't see his feet. They went out there and looked right by his tracks where his boots and stuff were, and they seen like buffalo or cow or goat tracks right on the ground right there, and he pulled out and he headed out. But man, they said that they seen those goat tracks right on the ground right by where his vehicle was.
God damn, there's so many stories like that too. That's not the only one. There were stories about it being across the street from there when the Legion bar was up. I remember hearing those stories too when I was younger, and that one that really freaks me out. I mean, the first time I ever heard of it, that Goatman, was when Flatiron was just getting built. Damn, I was just a kid. I must have been about 7th, 8th grade, something like that. Maybe even younger, maybe 6th grade. But anyways, it was somewhere in middle school when it was being built. It was brand new. It used to just be a hill, all bare, right through there to Glacier Homes. There was never any houses right there. You couldn't drive over the top, just a 4-wheeler trail, if I remember right, was up there. That would lead across from the hospital down to Glacier Homes. But now they have all those houses right in there. Well, it wasn't like that, but when they first built them houses, I remember I was staying with one of my buddies in town, because, I stayed out in Temed with my grandpa. Well, I was in town that weekend with my friend, and I remember his mom was talking, and just got off the phone with somebody that lived out there that got one of those new houses. And she said, yeah, myself and all the neighbors are here. And she was kind of like motioning, I guess, all the way up and down that street that was just built. She said that Goatman came in. I remember phone calls just kept coming in that morning too. Everybody was talking about it. And she said, yeah, that Goatman walked through all these houses. They said it's like he was still walking on the ground. Like if you go outside and hit the ground, that level. But he walked straight through the houses, so you just seen his upper half. But he was still walking on the ground, but through all them houses.
Ooh.
I guess he just made one trip, reached straight through. That was it. I never heard anybody say, oh yeah, he looked at me or anything. No, he just straight ahead walked right through. Didn't even care who was around.
Oh, shit.
That's the first time I ever heard of that. That was the first story.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you know, like, they see these people and, like, it's kind of like generational. Like, you know, all those old people seeing the same type of thing. You know, like back in the day when the forts were up in the when they had these white people towns that were just, you know, coming to their res. You know, like when the alcohol was introduced to our people, they were told that, like, there was these guys that would really supply a lot of it, and they'd come out of nowhere and they'd come into camp, and same thing, you know, it was the same type of person, but he came in different ways. He came as a white guy, but always a black coat and black hat, and he was always supplying people with this alcohol. And, you know, you always seen him at parties is the only thing, or, you know, different functions, and that's where he would show up. And, you know, they always say that same thing. You know, he always was really wealthy and always gave everyone the alcohol they wanted. If they ran out, he always had a bottle ready to go.
Oh. Yeah, something creepy I never told you that other night when we were all telling stories. So this lady up in Alaska, they're from Alaska, but she had kids with somebody from Arizona, somebody from down south, another tribe down there somewhere. And when they went home, see, something happened down there. But it's on the podcast, you guys can check it out. But something happened down there where that Goatman got attached to her daughter, really. But her daughter was able to, her mom, and the mom and the daughter were able to do something to kind of get it away from them. But it kind of attached to her son. And it bothered him from when he was about 7 years old till he was about 15, 16, something like that. It was over a span of years it would show up to him. And it would tell him things, you know, and that boy would see it. He'd be on a bus and he would see it out there standing, kind of waiting for him, and he'd get happy because it wasn't like I think it had him tricked, like it wasn't acting mean to him or nothing, so that boy was kind of excited to see him all the time. Almost felt like it was a friend of his, because that boy didn't know any better. And I remember one part of that story was in the basement. They were carrying these big heavy tote boxes out of like a little crawl space into the basement and then upstairs, and that kid was in there and he was helping move everything out, helping another guy move everything out of there, and the other guy had to quit for some reason or go outside for something, but that son, he stayed in there and he just kept moving stuff out. And they were wondering, you know, his mom was like, hey, wait a minute, he's gonna be all by himself, and like, well, I just gotta do this real quick, I'll be back. But them boxes just kept coming out really fast, faster than having an adult down there. It was just that little boy, and they couldn't figure out how that was happening, so they sent that guy. He's like, hey, go ahead and go back down and help him now. He went back down there, and anyways, it slowed up, and after that was done, his mom asked him, like, how was that happening? How are those boxes getting out there so fast? You know, this is kind of long time, like years have passed, and he started opening up about it more, and he was going back and telling her this. But she kept wondering all that time, and so finally he told her, you remember that time we were moving those boxes? Like, yeah, that Goatman was down there with me. He was helping me. He had these shadows. He was telling these shadows to go move those boxes to that door and help me move some. He says, so that's what they did. And when that guy came back down there, he said, I thought he seen Goatman. He says, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it because every time I would see adults look at him, I thought they could see him. And I thought it was just normal because that guy kept looking where he was at. He was crouched in a corner, but those shadows disappeared. He made him go, but he was in a corner in the dark, and that guy that was helping us just kept looking over there. He said, I thought he seen him too, so I wasn't worried about nothing. He says, but that thing, it says saying that thing, they describe it as being like a giant goat. It was so big that it had to like sit down on its belly and its horns are still up to the ceiling. It was really big. But toward the end of that story, it takes him on a journey somewhere. It takes him, it's really bad. You gotta listen to it. It takes him to these places where there's a lot of suffering and shows him things. It's pretty wicked, but that one's probably the scariest account of Goatman I've ever heard in my life. But what ends up happening is that boy figures out, well, he asks him, he says, this is what you look like? And he says, yeah, I can change into all of these things. I can half man, half goat. He says, because at one point he showed him wings too. He had big old wings. He said, I didn't know you had these. That's cool. He says, yeah, well, you never asked, so I just kept them hidden. He says, can you change into a man? And he said, yeah, I can. He said, well, can you show me? And he said, no. If I showed you, you'd recognize me on TV, and I don't want you to recognize me.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's the part I didn't tell you, is that he didn't want to be recognized because he was on TV too. Must be somebody, I don't know, famous or something, I don't know.
Yeah, oh man, that's wicked.
It is.
Scary. There's this other story I have too. So my grandma Cecile dog taking, and she got a house right there on 464, right by right across, kind of from the bus garage almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of by kind of right there by Kennedy's house right there. But she got that house, and everyone kind of, they were younger, and back in the day, right there on 464, she always told those kids, she said, now you guys be careful that road, there's those they call them the she called it a boogeyman. She said she's seen it all the time. She said she encountered it. I told you that story. She encountered it on the way down to she would walk that old road all the way down to Two Medicine, that old road right there. You remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so anyways, my dad and them were just young, and they were, it was really late, and she said, anytime you hear dogs really barking in a bunch, if they're going down the street, she said, you guys stay inside, because that spirit, it likes to jump in different people's vehicles when they're partying. It likes to just jump in and hop in their vehicle, and that's when people, start fighting and different things start happening. It tries to kind of make you, it tries to, distract you, and sometimes there's been stories told of people that were in wrecks, of people that passed away, and the last thing they remember is seeing this person in their vehicle with them, like in the back, if it was just them two, or like they remember seeing a face and it was smiling at them or something. So anyways, my grandma, she told my dad and them, she said, you guys if you guys ever hear those dogs barking down the street, she said, you guys don't go outside. She said, don't do it. She said, if they're barking at something that's not there, she said, they're probably, our animals, they take care of us, and they chase things out of our community. And that's what's good about having dogs, because they see those things, they see these entities that we can't. They have a different energy field than we do, and they have different ways of seeing these beings that we can't in the other world. And so anyways, it was really late, 3:30 in the morning or something like that, right there on 464, and it was a snowy night out. It was kind of icy roads, and my dad and them were up, and they were just kind of all playing around outside, and next thing you know, they right up there by the light, they heard all these dogs. He said there's probably about 40 dogs, I think. He said maybe maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but they're all just bunched up barking. They thought they were fighting, or they thought they were just all like, after a female dog. They kind of got scared. My grandma wasn't home. She was at a relative's house. She went to go visit, and there was just those boys home. There's about 3 or 4 of them. My uncle Richard, my dad, my uncle Bugs. My uncle Snake was there. He was actually deacon. He's older, and he was Snake, and he was in the house. So anyways, these dogs start coming down, and they're wondering what it is. They think they don't really care. They didn't really listen to my grandma. And when those dogs start coming down that street, they're all barking, just like acting like they're trying to bite something. So anyways, they get in front of the house right there on 464, and my dad says all what he could remember is those dogs were all surrounding something. There was nothing in the middle. And he kept hearing them, or he kept looking at them, and they're all like trying to jump in the middle after something that wasn't there. There was nothing there at all, and it was like they're all in the snow, kind of like barking at us. All these dogs, and they were just howling, really ugly. And next thing you know, he said he sees this dog go for a bite, and it's like it gets slapped to the ground, and there's nothing even there. And this dog starts yelping, and all these other dogs keep trying to go after it. Well, and then this vehicle starts coming by, and it's honking at these dogs, and I don't know if it must have been people drinking, and they start driving by, and my dad said all he could remember is right when he drove by those dogs, that vehicle, they all start looking towards that vehicle, start chasing it down the road, and he said he thinks that thing jumped in with those people, whoever was driving by, and they're kind of driving a little bit crazy, but all those dogs, about 40 of them, they're just chasing it, barking really hard, and it hopped in with that vehicle. I think it must have jumped in and headed out from chased, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I've seen that before. And as a kid, we were always outside, I remember seeing that more than a few times. All of those dogs just barking at something, but nothing's there.
Yep.
And when I think back on it, I've seen that, and you almost think they're fighting, but they're not. They're not fighting. They're just all barking at something. Yeah.
And it's pretty scary because you hear it at night too, even nowadays, like even sometimes you hear them. And what I was told too is when you're out and about and like you're doing stuff like that, like the things that attach to you is those spirits that they feed off that energy when your spirit's most vulnerable. And your spirit's most vulnerable, that's what those elders said. They said, stay away from firewater, stay away from that's what they said, stay away from that bad water. They said because if you get to a point where your spirit's vulnerable, that's when those things could follow you, and they have the chance to actually come with you if you don't have your paint on, your protection in their way. Mm-hmm. And I could even think of times when I've heard things barking too, like all these dogs bunched up right here. I live right by the hospital. It's between Mountain View, and there's that field between us and Death Row. And there's been times where we've seen animals barking at people, and there's not even a person there, and there's about 6, 7, 8 dogs just all going at it, barking at something, and it's like they're chasing something. There's not even nothing there whatsoever.
That reminds me of this story from when I was about, I think I was in the 7th grade sometime, and that same guy where his mom was taking all them phone calls that morning about that Goatman, the same guy, I used to always stay at his house. He had a Nintendo, and we used to always play that. But I remember I was in town, and we wanted to go up to his cousin's house. It was in Chinatown. He lived right behind, where would it be? Right behind that new store, kind of, but to the south a little bit. He stayed right in that area. And so we were walking up past the middle school, and we heard, once we got it towards Chinatown, like we were just getting ready to get into those houses right there, and man, we heard a lot of dogs howling, a whole bunch of them, just all going off. And we were always told when we were younger that when those dogs howl like that, they're called, it means someone's gonna, pass. Someone's gonna pass away. Yeah. And if your dogs are doing that and they all start up, you're supposed to go out there and make them shut up, so they don't call that death. And so we get up to that house, and we were walking, and I said, hey bro, do you remember what they say about that? And he said, yeah. He said, I was just thinking about that. And I'm like, oh, because we were scared to even go up. We didn't know those dogs would probably start trying to mess with us, but we were thinking, God, I was telling him, like, oh, I wish somebody'd make them dogs be quiet. He said, I know. He's like, if my dad was here, he would. That's kind of our talker as kids. And we get up to that house, and we sat up, watched movies for a while. And I remember the guy that owned the house, he stayed up really late. He had a girlfriend there. We were too young for that, but he was older than us, and he's like his older cousin. And I remember he come waking us up on that couch. He says, hey, he said there was a really bad wreck. He said, and he said that girl's name, but I don't want to repeat it here. And she was our classmate. It's like, yeah, she passed away just now, and we sat up, we looked at each other, and we always heard that when that happens, there's somebody's gonna pass. So if you can, make those dogs be quiet if they're yours.
Yeah, it's crazy how we all have that like same teaching, because like that's the same thing my grandparents told me. My grandpa, he said when you hear those dogs howling really wicked like that really eerie howl, there's a different way when they're all just howling together. It's different when they're just howling. Sometimes they'll even howl like at night when the moon's out, but there's that different howl they have. It's almost ugly, like it almost is like a scary howl, like they're like all in sync and they're all just doing it really wicked. Like it's kind of like you get that eerie feeling, and there's been times where that's happened too, and we were told that someone passed away or someone got in a wreck and that happened where those animals were doing that. And I don't know, that's pretty scary stuff though, and like my grandpa told me that. But yeah, so I'll tell you another story of my grandpa Ronnie. So my grandpa, so I grew up both ways traditionally, and my grandpa was Christian, but I'm more traditional. I don't really follow Christian ways at all, but he was a deacon for the Catholic Church, and Father Ed, he was under Father Ed. You remember Father Ed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Father Ed, I was really good friends with all those guys, Father Ed, and I was always brought around it. I always was told in our way, we respect anyone's prayer. Prayer's prayer, even though things that happened in the past, was good people still in every way, and we don't like our Dwayne Mistaken Chief, my elder, he was just posting on Facebook on Easter. He said, these people that are praying, you never bash on them. It's not the way the Blackfeets do. If they're prayerful people, you do it that way. But anyways, so my grandpa was a deacon, and they got a call at Town Pump, and they all had to go there, and they had to go visit at the security and the managers, and they went back in there to see some film that they said that they were called to do. So anyways, they go to Town Pump, and Town Pump has all that really wicked energy from all the beer that's bought there, and people have seen multiple things in there, and multiple people like that end up vanishing out of nowhere and stuff. And so anyways, what was told, and it's a story that's still around today, and they don't have the tape anymore, but I'll get into it. So they go to Town Pump, and they're sitting in there like kind of like a meeting with these people, and they said, we have this video, and we caught something on the camera, and we haven't showed anyone. We haven't took a video ourselves, and we want to know what it is and what we're supposed to do. We kind of want to get this place blessed in the Catholic sense and stuff. So they said, all right, well, show us the video. But kind of on context of this, so that night, it was that night before, it was really late, kind of almost before bar time. People were buying up beer and everything, and there was about 3-4 different trucks and cars of people that said they kept seeing this thing on top of Town Pump. It was peeking over, and it had horns. And it was like looking at everybody, and it was kind of smiling. It looked like it had a weird face, but it was on top of Town Pump, and it was looking over that sign. And some people even said it looked like it was sitting on top of that camera. Some of them that were really drunk, because they said it was like kind of like sitting on top of that camera, like it was a dark figure though, and they said they could make out horns and like eyes that were like white eyes, like it had white eyes. That's all they could describe it as, white eyes with horns. So they all told the people, they're like, oh man, like we've seen something on top of Town Pump. They said there's something up there. They said, do you guys have someone up there working there? No, we don't have anyone up there. So they were looking upon themselves to like look at what was going on. And so the late night workers were there, and the people, they went and looked. The security guard was looking on the cameras, and he he was kind of just trying to pay attention because all these people that were seeing this thing kind of jumping around on top there and like looking at all the people that were leaving and smiling, kind of like he was happy that all these people were buying up alcohol. And so anyways, they looked at that camera, and when he looked on there, there was a face on there, and they said no shit, it was the scariest looking thing they've ever seen. And it was see-through, you could see through its face and you could see everything behind it. But same thing, it had white eyes and it had horns like going back, kind of almost like Goatman, like in a really wicked sense though, like it was like evil, like you could tell this thing was evil. And my grandpa Ronnie, when they were sitting down, they showed him that video, and it kind of like showed its face for probably like, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds, and then it disappeared. And you know that video I was showing you at Charlie's place of that guy that seen that figure that showed up and it's kind of like sat there and was looking at him?
Yeah.
Well, it was the same sense right there. And when my grandpa and Father Ed looked at it, they said, well, we gotta take this film, don't record it, take video it right now, delete this footage and give us the tape. So my grandpa Ronnie and and Father Ed, they took that tape and they said it was one of the most scariest things they seen. And the only thing they could describe it as, they called it the devil, because you know they're Christians, and that's what Father Ed said. He said that's the devil. He said he's preying upon everyone here that's buying this alcohol, and he said you guys are gonna want to smudge this place because he's probably has something up his sleeve that he's trying to do to our people right now. And but what my grandpa Ronnie said is, he said he remembers those old people saying it was that man, that Goatman, that really likes people to get drunk, and he was just happy, like running around all wicked on top of the roof of Town Pump. So they go back to the church, and it's probably, I don't know, maybe a week later they're meeting on it, and they actually send that tape. They send it to the bishop here in Helena, and they send it to him, and he meets on it, and they just tell him to burn it. They want to burn it and just get rid of it. So they ended up burning that tape. They weren't able to show it, and then they had a Town Pump closed off in the daytime for I think almost like 2 hours. And my grandpa remembers him and Father Ed going in there and blessing that whole place. And while they're in there, Father Ed gets really lightheaded while he's kind of cleansing it out. And my grandpa, you know, he believes in our traditional way too. He was Catholic because he was raised in a boarding school with a really, I hate to say this, but you know, he was raised with a really bad guy. They called him Father Malman. And he was one of the priests here on our reservation that molested a lot of kids and did really bad things to kids. And my grandpa was one of his main altar boys. And so that's why he kind of had this Christian, you know, way of believing. And so anyways, when he was in there, he brought in his own cleansing stuff, you know, and he was cleansing it too. But what they remember is going in the back area and by the alcohol and where you stock it. It's really cold back there. They got to keep it cold. He said Father Ed was right there, you know, using their incense that they use and praying and splashing holy water in there. And he said all he remembers is Father Ed getting really lightheaded and almost fainting when he gets by that alcohol. And he said he just started going all over the place. And he said, hey, are you okay? And Father Ed says, yeah. He said, I think I found out where this guy likes to hang out. He said, I think he likes to look at all these people buying alcohol right here. He's probably looking through the back right there when you're buying alcohol at Town Pump. And so they clean it out, but my grandpa says that he said when they get to the back of Town Pump, it's kind of dark back there with all the supplies where they get their shippings, and they chased whatever it was out that back door. They said they seen a black figure just taking off from them, really scared of them, you know, because it's, you know, in the Christian way, you know, they have strong ways too, and in our traditional way too. Though my grandpa had his medicine there, and whatever it was really scared. Father Ed said, as long as this alcohol's here, that thing's gonna come back every once in a while. But he told those workers, well, we got rid of it, you know, and whatever it is, we got rid of it for now. But he said, I don't believe in alcohol like this. And he said, it's gonna come back no matter how long you guys keep having this here. And he said, it's gonna keep hanging around at night, and people are gonna come back. He said, it'll be back. And he said, as long as you guys keep selling it, it's gonna come back. Oh, but yeah, I guess it was in there. And what's creepy about it is it must be back because, so my cousin, I'll get the video, it's online. So I don't know if you know who Ryan Running Wolf is, Uncle Tyson Running Wolf's son. So he worked as teller at the as a teller right there in Town Pump, and this just happened last year, or a little over a year ago, and he posted it online. So Chris Higgins was recording this woman. He's just kind of flirting with her, and he was a teller though, and like they're all recording, and there was an old guy there that was working as security or custodian. There's only 3 or 4 of them in there in that whole store. So you know how there's a bell right there at the deli?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bell right there at the deli, and like people could ring it when they want food and stuff, and there's no one else in that whole store. No one's by that bell or anything. And well, Chris is videoing that girl's in there right in front of him. Ryan just right here, kind of in the front, and that guy right there is towards the door, and then there's a girl right here, and all of a sudden they just kind of hear that bell ding, and it's on video. Like, I could send it to you, and he posted it, but that bell rings out of nowhere, and like it's like wanting something and kind of trying to want them to pay attention, and they just point at it. Chris points at that deli bell, and they just all get spooked out, and they're all just like shocked. They're like, oh shit, like, did you guys hear that? That just rang by itself, and you know there's no way that can ring by itself.
There's something around. I mean, those stores, those are convenience stores. God, I'm convinced every one of them that sells, alcohol from the past till now, jeez, there's always stuff that happens there, like in that P&M over there. That used to sell a lot of alcohol, and there's stuff that hangs around there too,
Yep, or even Ic's place, like there's been stories around there that there's a lot of stories of people there that will be in there by themselves, and there's something in there that likes to hang around and bother people in there, and they see it all the time too. It's always a black figure, like in our ways too, like those black figures, the reason why is their energy's so low, they're in a different realm that's not good. But like they're able to show themselves in different ways, and Ix is one of the main alcohol things there is, and they always see it in there.
Hey, if you don't mind switching gears here, can you talk, since today they had that eclipse, I mean, we couldn't view it here in Montana, we couldn't see it, but it was further down south. But when we were talking last night, when I was talking on that one podcast, I'd never been taught anything about that, so I was just kind of trying to figure things on my own, basically shooting from the hip. But could you speak about some of the things that you were taught about the eclipses?
Yeah, so there's a couple stories I can tell you that we were told by different elders, and one of the stories was told, I seen it, and some of our people, they posted on Facebook, but there's an elder by the name of Wilton Goodstriker, and what he was told us, he said that the old people were told that maybe we were misbehaving in a way, and that old man turns away for a bit, and we pray that we make amends with him so that's all good. And that he turns back towards us. And the Blackfoot word for solar eclipse is it was taught by James, and it says the Narcissus blood calls it Natusi Iksasi. It's called the sun hides. That's what they say, and or you could call it Oksikukua, the night before its time. So like that's what they used to call it. But and another thing I was told, I have these things I saved. I took screenshots of, and also I'll tell you what I was told too. But this one, it says the moon in our Blackfeet ways, knowing it represents females, not Dusi, the sun represents the males. Well, it says the reason that Gokumikisu and Dusi do not exist at the same time is because Dusi made Gokumikisu mad. So there's a story how he made Gokumikisu mad, and she's always chasing him. And it says they fought hard, and that is why no one exists at night. The other during the day. Well, every now and then it says Gokumikisu catches up to Dusi, and when he does, the female power becomes even stronger than it already is. Because in Blackfeet culture, women are held very sacred because they hold all the knowledge, and when they speak, there's power in their voices,
Mm-hmm.
So they choose the moments they speak with sure knowing, and that truth is coming through. They said Blackfoot women will correct their men just like Napi. They sometimes make mistakes, and it's just like Napusi. he made Gokumikisum very upset, and all our prayers we pray to both Nakusi and Gokumikisum because both have a role in our life and our universe. So they said, men, please don't make your women mad tomorrow. But they said because Gokumikisum catches up to Nakusi and overpowers him. And they say that there's an increase in power for our women in our Blackfeet way during that time. But us men, our powers kind of stopped, and that's why we're supposed to pray. And today I prayed really hard. I smudged and I smoked my pipe during the whole eclipse. I didn't really go outside, and those old people said it's a time where you're supposed to be calm and you're supposed to pray. Kind of, it's almost a renewal. So, anyways, there's another story too. It says that they said that it's the death of Nakusi for a minute because Gokumikisum catches up to him, and we pray that he comes back out and shines upon us again. And it's like it's like we're processing it as another person that's passing on and going into the spirit world, you know. And so when going into the spirit realm, so when we do that, you know, we pray for him. It's the only time we pray for Nakusi out of everything. Nakusi prays for us. We ask upon his prayer. But for a minute, Gokumikisum covers him, like they said in that story. There's a story behind it. I'll get more info on that story of why he got Gokumikisum mad, but there's a reason why it's day and night. And when she catches up to him, they say it's almost like his death, like he's away for a second. And so like when it happens, we got to pray as men for that renewal and strength for ourselves. And it's kind of almost like a new life forming for ourselves, and we could also start a new life. So they say, like, if you're going through things and if you feel like your life's not going in a good way, when you pray and you fast, or when it's happening, you know, you give your energy all to praying for Creator and also praying for the light to show again, because in that moment when Gokumikisum covers him, it's like a moment of weakening for us, but it's a time for us to pray for our strength comes back out, because it means our prayers could be heard in an even better way. But so you could actually change your life, is what they're saying. So that's the whole reason why we coexist with women, and that's why we have to respect them, is because of that power Gokumikisum holds, and she has that power to overpower him. So like, there's no other thing that can block out the sun, you know, like there's no other thing that can stop him from doing his duty except for Gokumikisum. But that's just kind of like a little story I could give you, I guess. Like, I didn't really... it's just like how we have to look at it, you know. It's kind of looking at it as a renewal in a way.
That makes sense now that you talk about it like that. I mean, I know there's one of those old stories where, I think it's from Percy Bullchild. I think he's the one that said, well, you know, a long time ago before Mudman or Ribwoman was here, they lived here, and at one point he had to well, she got corrupted by that snake. That snake starts saying, "Oh, you don't know how bad that, you know, the sun is. You don't know how bad he wiped out my people twice." You know, just whispering like that into her ear, and finally,
that's the story, bro. Yep.
Yeah, and finally she kind of gave in, and Natusi, he knew. That first night he got back to that lodge, when he came back and the sun went down, he went back to his lodge. He knew that night. He could smell that snake. And he gave her time to come clean, but she wouldn't, you know, and she stuck with it. So that's when they made that plan to do away with that snake and to do away with Gokumikisum, her wickedness. And so they killed that snake, and those 7 boys that they had, she was chasing them, and she was gonna, you know, do away with them too, to get back at the sun. And so yeah, there was those old stories like that are they really make me think, you know. They really make me think, because what you're saying just makes sense, because now it kind of all fits. I kind of understand it a little more. There is a part that you know, I never understood about eclipses, but with you saying what you said, it makes sense when you tie it all in with those old stories, because they really made me think when I first heard those stories and read them too. You know, I think about those, but that's really interesting. I'd like to think more about that, you know, too, because we're not going to see another eclipse for a while here. So hopefully I live long enough to see one, and I'm
they said the next total solar eclipse they're saying is either 2045 or 33. But so like what I was talking about too is what I was told too is that our stories are. They say the reason why it's so important for our people to know our creation stories is because when you go to our ceremonies, you understand them better and you understand our way of life and what the things that we have in nature and our energies. So these things that we experience, for example, the solar eclipse or the eclipses, there's a whole story, a reason why that comes about. And just like you were saying, that story about that snake, he enticed our Kokomitisum and she ended up cheating on Natusi. You know, she fell in love with a different man, so he kind of banished her in a way to where she was mad at him, so she's always chasing him. And for a moment in time, like the eclipse, she catches up to him and she overpowers him, and it's almost like the death of Natusi. So that's why I was saying you renew it. But the thing about snakes, like you're saying, they wiped them out. In our creation stories, they say the snakes were the first ones here.
Mm-hmm.
Per se, like they say that it was the dinosaurs though, like that kind of like in a way it was the dinosaur era, like when Creator wiped them out, and that's what the snakes were. But that they were the first living thing on Earth, and when Creator put them on here, they start doing really bad things, so he wiped them all out. But a few survived. There's only a couple, and that's why they hide around and stuff. You know, they hide in holes and stuff. And when she went to go meet with that snake, he came out of nowhere, but he would turn himself into a really fine-looking man. And that's why they say snakes kind of have like this devious way to them, but they're also really powerful in our way because they are ancient. But yeah, and then that's what I was told too, is like when she was trying to do that to her sons, and that's where we get the seven brothers, you know, the Big Dipper, that's where they are. They're always in the sky, those seven brothers, that's where they fled to, and they're all right there together. But yeah, it's that's kind of like the whole way our whole Blackfeet knowledge and wisdom and our stories tie together to our ceremonies, you know, because like in the medicine pipe ceremony, you know, you always have Nina and you have Aki, you know, like they say there's a man, this ground is holy. They say there's a woman, this ground is holy. They're always saying that. But what I'm saying is that song, you know, these stories, you understand what they're saying in them, and what they always tell is Nina or Anapi. And then they always say woman, and you know, it's a balance. So that's what I'm saying. Like this eclipse is actually a really powerful time, not only for us, but for the spirit world. And it's kind of like almost a moment where it's really powerful energy. And that's what I noticed today. Like I honestly noticed I was really tired today, bro. I got off work early. I told my colleagues at work, I said, well, boys, we're supposed to pray during this time. So I went and fed the buffalo, you know, and I today I went to work, and when I came home, me and my mom prayed really hard, and right after I got done praying, bro, it was almost like all my energy was took from me, so I took a nap. So I took a nap probably around like 1:30 or 2, bro, and I slept almost till 4 or 5 today, right when you were messaging. I just got done showering again after work and got my hair braided, but I noticed my energy was kind of feeling a little low, and I was kind of thinking back on it, you know, like our men's energy is kind of really kind of almost taken away overpowered by that. So like it's kind of not good in a way to be outside doing a lot of work, they say, because our man energy from Natusi, that energy, we have to have it all the time, and it's a balance. And that night, that's when our women are most powerful too, in a way. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, you know, just thinking about our creation stories and how it all ties together with the elements and the things that we deal with in nature and the celestials and our stars and everything.
You know, I remember at the end of that story too, what they say when the sun, the moon, the Big Dipper, and the earth all align, that's supposed to be the end of mankind. That's when Kokomikisum actually catches the sun, catches those boys, and that's supposed to be it for us. And I've thought about that over these years, and I wondered, you know how they have those constellation, you can put in a date and it'll give you a star map of the future or the past. I wondered, you know, I was just curious, like, what if you could just fast forward that and look and look and look to see when those all align? I bet you if you did, you would see that day and get that, well, a relative guesstimation of when that's supposed to be. But, you know, that's kind of just far-fetched thinking, I think, but it's fun to think about when you know those stories and you know what they're about. It makes you wonder. It really does.
It does, bro. It makes you question a lot of stuff, like, and like that's why they told us to be still. They told us to pray, just because we have to renew our own energy, and that's what I did today. It felt good to pray and stuff because I feel like I'm kind of energized right now. We're about to eat dinner here in a few, and I noticed the goodness in it, though. It's not bad, is what I was told. It's not bad, but it's kind of like a renewal. That's what I'm saying. So it's almost like a true story for Natusi, because he comes back and shines again, and it's a really powerful moment. And just looking outside right now in my window, Natusi's shining right now, and he's renewed. It's almost like he cleanses himself in a way, like he cleanses all the negative himself, and that's like why we pray for him too, because no one's perfect. Even Creator might have some imperfections to where he has to renew himself in a way,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So another thing I was gonna ask you about is what stories and stuff do you know about the Sweetgrass Hills, if you have time?
Yeah, I could tell you a quick one. So what I was told is the Sweetgrass Hills are really sacred to us, and the only reason why we thought we were getting them back, so in that treaty when we signed with the U.S. government for that land, they told us in 100 years we're gonna get we're gonna get that land back, and so 100 years passed already, and we haven't got those places back. But it was a place for our people to fast too, and it was a really strong access point. And what I was told, it was a wormhole. So kind of describing a wormhole to people, that if you guys don't know, it's sort of like a portal for our people to use to access Natusi and the stars in a even greater way. And people were known to travel it and find it if they found it. And so there's been stories of giants, bro, that stayed there, and they were really, really wicked people, and they used to hide out there because they were able to show out out of nowhere and then head out. And there's old stories. I could talk about it more. I'm trying to think about it more, but I'll ask, because I don't want to say anything that I don't know. But what I was told kind of fast about it was there's things there that were bad that use that portal in a bad way, because it's open to anything, and our spirits and stuff like that. And like our hero in Blackfoot culture, Katuyis Bloodclot, he used that portal at Sweetgrass Hills to travel the Mokoisum, the Wolf Trail, to go through our galaxy and go through our whole world in the way that he could wipe out any negativity. And when he was in there, he wiped out a lot of giants, a lot of big things that were really bad to our people. And it's told too, like if you go there at night, that's when a lot of things come out. And I think a lot of bad spirits, they come out of that portal at night. And there's honestly a really scary story I was told too, and I have to get it again told to me because it's been a long time since I heard it. But like they're saying that giant is really ugly and like really scary, like almost like he's like a Goatman in a way, but he don't have horns or anything, but he's really big, and he likes to feed on people and like babies. And it goes back to that story my dad was telling about my grandma Spotted Eagle Jenny, and her parents or her grandparents were the ones that had experienced that man eater of those babies, and that's where he used to reside when he would head out, and he would come out of nowhere out of that portway in Sweetgrass Hills because that energy field's so high. But when people fast there too, it's so powerful that you could actually access a lot of good dreams and a lot of good visions from there, because the energy that's there. And we'd hunt there, we would gather, we would get sweetgrass. They call it the Sweetgrass Hills because there's a lot of good sweetgrass there. I don't know if you knew that, bro.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, there's a lot of good sweetgrass you could pick up there, and like we respected those hills such in a good way because of that portal entry in the Sweetgrass Hills.
I mean, I figured there was sweetgrass there. I just didn't. You said it's really good, huh? Really strong.
Yeah, it's really strong, but like, see, I don't want to talk about things, like I don't want to say something and lie to people or just create my own story, but I'll actually ask one of my elders, and find more about that wormhole there that our people use, but not just only him. Napi, old man Napi used to use that portway too, and I kind of almost think it's still there, and it's just about accessing it and finding it, and it's almost like a spiritual realm that you can use to cross. And they say that Scarface, I think too, when he came home, Scarface used that trail too, and that's where he was able to travel, was right through there, through the Wolf Trail. But yeah, I don't know if people know the Wolf Trail in our way, but the Wolf Trail is the Milky Way, and that's where they call it the Wolf Trail, because it's a way to travel our galaxy, and it's a trail made by our Makoi, our wolf. Our wolves are the ones that are really powerful, but there's a story behind that too. But yeah, that's just one of the things I was told about it, was that it's a portal entry to the other side, into our galaxy.
It's really interesting, that story of the Wolf Trail too, because when I think of that story, I think this is where we get Dogman. This is where we get all these. Remember, because those wolves they turned into people. Those spirits made themselves like people, and they lived with the people, and they even start having kids with the people. See, the Bible has story of the Nephilim, the giants. That happened to us too, but in our way, it was the animals that did that, and it really caused a lot of problems. So they quit doing that. But when you really think about it, like Blackfeet, we learned a lot from those wolves. They're the ones that taught us how to hunt, and how to war and all these things. And it was all from that time too, when we got all those painted lodges from them and everything. That was that time. And anyways, I don't want to keep you too long. You gonna go eat?
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat, but I appreciate you, brother. And my name's Ethan Runningcrane. If you guys wanna, I go live. I met Lodge Tales on TikTok, and I met this guy, his new brother, and we'll tell stories too. I like getting him on there at late nights, sometimes on the weekends. And if you guys want to follow me, my Instagram is just Ethan RC, Ethan RC, all one word. And if you guys want to give me a follow, and I'm gonna be having YouTube stuff too, and I'm gonna create my own podcast kind of in a way, and I want to get Lodge Tales on there, and I want to create a Discord maybe too, to where we could even have like online talks, and stuff like that. So it'll be good stuff, brother. We'll have a lot of good things coming. I'll make sure to include you in it, because it's good to talk about these stories too. I mean, we like talking about this spooky stuff, but it's good to even talk about our history and our culture, and that's what I want to start doing too, is implementing that in our stories, because they tie a lot to the things we deal with today, even those bad spirits, why we have them, why the energies we have, why we renew our energy, why we smudge and pray, and the things that we have in our territory. Like our land is proof of our existence in this world, and we have stories of these places like Chief Mountain, Crow's Nest, Belly Buttes, the Giant Sleeping, all these different areas. There's stories to it, and it's all ties together with who we are as Blackfeet Mississippi, and I want to start talking more about it. But I really appreciate you letting me on here, brother, and I hope to see you on the live tonight, showing some love, and might get you in there for a minute too. We'll see. But I appreciate your podcast, and hope you have a good one, brother. Get him up soon.
Yeah, follow Ethan on TikTok. He's really a knowledgeable young man. He's got a lot of knowledge. He far surpasses his age as far as knowledge is concerned, and he's happy to share, and he does it in a respectful way. So you folks that are always curious about the native way, or you Blackfeet that are off the res, and that this is your time to reconnect with the res. This is your way of coming back home, so to speak. Go check out Ethan on TikTok. It'll bring you home.
Hey, yeah. I appreciate that, brother. Well, I hope you have a good day.
All right, you too. We'll see you, brother.
All right, brother. See you later.
Yeah, that's my good friend Ethan. We had just met recently. He's from my reservation, but of course I don't know everybody on the reservation. And the more I try to get this podcast out by engaging with different social media platforms like TikTok, that's the main one I've kind of been focusing on. the more people I've met, and the podcast is growing in that way too. So yeah, if you really want to, like I said, come back and get more engagement with me, the place to do it is on TikTok. Just follow Lodge Tales podcast on TikTok, and you'll be able to hear more stories, or just see me on there and be able to ask questions or whatever you want. But for those of you that are interested, go ahead and give me a follow there. And I have some plans for this summer to do more things with the podcast. It's fun doing all this, and I hope that we get more returning guests coming back. Scheduling's been a nightmare, so I hope it all works out for everybody, and that we can come back together and share more stories. There's a few people I've had lined up that it just didn't work out. The scheduling just didn't work. So as soon as I get the podcasts, I'm going to edit them and put them right out. So again, I would encourage you all to have your people that have good ghost stories, or just want to share any sort of stories they know. They don't have to be personal experiences, because each of our families have a lot of good stories within them too. So those I'm looking for as well. And I thank you all for tuning in. And I had a story written into me. I'm still working on that. I haven't forgot about you. I'm still digging into the details that you wanted me to. This is regarding chewing black bones. So thank you all, and thank you for your patience, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, I hope you have a good night, a good day, and a good morning. Alright, till next time.